Woohoo!
Hello, my sewing friends. I'm Jen, and this is Friday Sews on Saturday. Friday Sews is when we chat, basically, about sewing and life, what we're doing, and click on the hashtag down in the description box or on the top comment, and it'll take you to all kinds of people who do Friday Sews. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of mine, even on Saturday. I want to get to the sewing, but I do want to give you a bit of housekeeping. I am having trouble with my sound, so if I sound different every time, it's because of new microphones and all kinds of things. So yeah, just be aware. So sewing, let me tell you about the sewing I've been doing because I've had some serious wins and I'm excited about those. So I'll start by saying over the past few months, I've had so many deadlines and so much have to sewing that when I've walked into this room, which is my happy place, it has felt like such a burden, like, kind of says it all, doesn't it? So that's all done. I walked in here the other day and I thought, wow, I can do whatever I want. Why do I feel like sewing? Well, I decided that I was not going to do any of the things that I've pre-planned. I was just going to do whatever I felt like doing. And what I felt like doing was this vest and a skirt and a pair of pants. I started with the vest, which came from Butterick 6901. This is kind of a wardrobe pattern. It's just a vest, the pants, and shorts if you want to make the pants into shorts. And I saw this last year and I loved it. I saw how elegant this looks. So I actually went and got some white linen. It's a blend, I think. And it really wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was more of a kind of a wheat color, like a beigey brown. And so I was in Hobby Lobby one day and I walked over to the home deck section and I saw this fabric. This is a cotton blend and it is home deck. So it's made for like to cover a chair or something like that. But it's a great bottom weight fabric and perfect for that, which is what I wanted. So it doesn't really have much drape, but it's got some texture and I love the color. So I made the vest and I finished it. I mean, start to finish, I did it. And that was so unusual to me. Maybe because everything I've been doing is start and stop, and oh, I've got to get the finishing touches on that, but I did. And this is so cute. It's got little welts. They're not really pockets. And that was my only hiccup with this pattern was that I sewed them on, and you're supposed to sew them at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, but I was afraid they'd be too skinny. So I sewed them at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and they were too wide. Of course they were. So I took them off and I resewed them, and I'm very, very happy with the way they turned out. That was the hiccup. But one other thing I noticed about this pattern is that in the back, it comes up like a V. And it's a beautiful design detail that I really like. And then it has these ties. Well, I lengthened this vest by about 2 inches because vests that I've been making are all short. So I've had to lengthen them just because when I raise my arms, I don't want to be showing off the things I don't want to be seen. So I lined it. It does call for lining, and I lined it with this beautiful cotton lawn that I think I thrifted. It's from Japan and it's lawn. It's a beautiful fabric. And so you can kind of, let's try over here. You can kind of see it right there. Simple to do. I did put one more button in it. It called for 4 and I decided to put 5. But other than that, it went together so easily. And so I'm really, really happy with it. And I also moved on. I wanted to make a skirt. I realized I had gotten enough fabric for the pants, a skirt, and the vest. And so I used McCall's 5481 from 2007 for the skirt. This skirt calls for a waistband, and I did not want to put a waistband on. So what I did was I took the top of the skirt patterns and the waistband, and I overlapped them the seam allowance amount, and then measured how high up that waistband would come. And then I just added that amount to the top of the skirt. And then I made a facing. So here's the facing on the inside. I just drafted it, laying this down on the table, and I just took some paper and traced it that way. What I realized later that I should have done is just use the waistband piece as a facing. And the one thing about that, though, that you have to remember is that you can see there's a curve here coming down from the waistline area as it goes over your hip, like this. And because of that, you have to account for that in the facing. So the facing needed to be a little bit slanted. And I did that because I laid it down on top of this. But I could have used that waistband piece and not had to draft one. So, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It works either way. But this is a beautiful skirt. And this fabric handled that drape just fine. So this didn't take very long. One other thing I will say about this is that I love pockets. Pockets are a deal breaker for me. I love to wear a skirt like this on a plane when I travel. And I have another denim skirt that is similar. It's more of an A-line, but it is gored like this. It's got the individual panels, and you can't put pockets, side seam pockets, in a skirt like this, or at least I can't, because what happens is you put them here on the side and then they gape. And it's such a disappointment because I love pockets so much, but I love the skirt more. So big win here. Very, very big win. Well, then I moved on to the pants from the Butterick pattern, 6901. I'm trying to read upside down. I fiddled and fiddled and fiddled with them, trying to get them to fit. Fitting pants is really more about the feel of them on your body. So that's a very personal thing, they're just hard. For a lot of people, they're hard to get the curves right. But for me, it's more about the way that the pants are drafted. They had front pockets that were the slash pockets that, you can put, what I mean. And there was something going on with the pockets, and I didn't like that. I thought, I'm making these pants. They should be perfect, or as perfect as I can make them. And I tried and tried. And, I guess I felt so free coming in here and just picking whatever I wanted to sew that I thought, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to make myself crazy trying to make these fit. I will take them. I will put them aside. I will use the fabric for something else. So big wins, big, big, big wins. So then I thought, well, now what do I want to make? And so I have a dress that I got from Amazon. They sent it to me for review. And it looks like this. And it is so simple. It's just a little 3-tiered dress. That's it. Bodice, first tier, second tier, third tier. It does have pockets, and it has this little puff sleeve. And it's just enough. It's kind of short, which I like. And it's the puff, or the little ruffle at the bottom is made by just taking 1/8 of an inch elastic and stitching it down. Almost like shearing, but not the same. So simple, really simple. Well, I wore this on the plane on the way home. It was so comfortable. The only thing about this is that the neckline comes up kind of high, and it tends to come up even higher when I sit down. And I didn't like that. It has a little keyhole neck opening in the back with a button. So I left it open, but that still didn't solve the problem. And I thought, I'm sitting here thinking, well, I could take the bias binding off and just cut it bigger, and I probably could get away with just stretching it and it would work. But then I thought, what am I talking about? Why do I want to remake this dress when I can just make a new one? And I'll have 2 dresses, and I'll wear this one. but the other one I can make exactly like I want. So I decided to do that. So I'm basically going to make this McCall's dress, but I'm not making this dress and I'm not using that pattern. So what I'm going to do is use a bodice that I know fits me like a dream. Oh my goodness. This is the Eva dress from Tessuti Fabrics. And I like this dress so much, but I love the bodice because it fits like a dream. So I wanted some rayon, and I thought, well, what do I have in my stash? So I looked and I remembered that I had gotten this at Hobby Lobby, but I'd never used it because it's sheer. It's like really sheer. You can see straight through it. I thought, well, I'm going to leave that for another day because I don't know what I've got in here. Then I pulled it out and I thought I could line this. That would be so cute if I had just cherries. I thought it would be very summery, very appropriate for where I live, and it would be, I would love it. And it would be a good way to use this fabric. So all I did was cut this bodice, and then I got out 3 different sleeve patterns, or patterns with a sleeve on them. That's a puffy sleeve. So I got them out of my Laura Ashley book because I remembered this one, and I thought, ooh, that could be one. But I also want to try some others. So, and just see. Well, this one is just so cute. And I really liked the way it's puffed up, but it's kind of sheared on part of the bottom of the sleeve. And I really like that. I thought, oh, I want to try that. And the pattern piece is cut in a really interesting way. It is, looks like this. Isn't that odd? It's got like this little extension on the hem. And I thought, ooh, that's interesting. And what you do is you actually sew panels for probably 1/4 inch elastic. I don't remember whether or not it said that, yeah, 1/4 inch elastic. Well, probably what I will do is the same thing that that sleeve has, where you just stitch through the 1/8 inch elastic and it kind of makes a shearing effect. But that's what I'm planning to do. And then for the tiers, what I did was I measured the bodice front and back, and I didn't double that. I multiplied that by 1.75 because I didn't want quite doubled. That's a lot of fabric. But I also didn't want 1.5 because I don't think that's enough gathering. So I thought, well, split the difference. So I did that, multiplied it by 1.75, and I thought, there's my first tier. And then I took that amount and multiplied that by 1.75, and that was my second tier. And then I took that and 1.75, and that was my bottom tier. That's all I did. It was so easy. 12 by that much. The hard part was getting it cut out because, rayon. I have a lot of this. I had like 4 yards of this rayon, and it was slipping and sliding around, but I made it work. Well, because that is so sheer, I knew I had to line it. So I went looking for some white lining-ish kind of things. And I did find this. This is actually a sateen that I think I got for a Christmas dress that I have never finished. But it's a little heavy. It's nice, but it's not really lining. It's really, I don't know. I wouldn't use it for lining. It's too nice. It can stand on its own. So I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? I can use that. I do have some rayon, but it's 12, so it's really more of a skirt weight. But then I remembered I was making the bed the other day, and all my things are falling off the table. I was making the bed the other day, putting on clean sheets, and we love rayon sheets. And so I was putting these on. The thing about rayon sheets is that they don't last as long as cotton sheets. We were putting these on and they were starting to show some wear. And I thought, all right, well, we'll retire those. We have several sets, so we'll just retire those and I'll use that for something else. Rayon, perfect, because it's kind of a lining weight, maybe a little heavier than lining weight, but it's going to work. So I'm going to use this, my queen size sheet set for my lining on my new sundress. So that is all the current sewing that is happening. I got to say, I'm so pleased with this. And now I would really like a white skirt to go with it. And I think I've been talking about a white skirt and a khaki skirt and all kinds of skirts. So I will probably, I don't know, I might do that next. I don't know. I'm kind of on that free and easy kind of kick right now. My new sewing table should be here tomorrow. And so I will be putting that together. The whole thing will, you know, I had to move this table. This is my sewing table right here. I had to move it out of the way because I wanted to film here, and it's a pain. I thought it will be so nice when I have a table that I can just, it's all one piece. It's not four, and I'm not, shifting things out of place when I do it. I am getting ready to move all of my fabric out of the 9 cube units that I have here that form my table and putting them into some bookcases that I have in the living room. It's closed storage. They're bookcases with glass doors on them. So there are books in there now. I'm selling the books pretty steadily. Those books have been there for about 5 years, as long as I've had the bookcases. And I've been trying to think how I gotta get rid of those. I gotta get rid of those. So I've listed them on a book app where you can buy and sell books. And so that's going well. So one of the things I have to do is go out there and shove all the books down because there are spaces now from the ones that I have sold, and make room for my fabric. I don't think there's quite enough room yet. I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the fabric. If I'm going to put it in like books like what I have it now, or if I'm going to stack it. I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm thinking that through. Beyond that, had a great visit with my mom and dad. They are in their last years, which is a sad thought for me because my mom and I are so close. But on the other hand, it is a very sweet time that I'm getting to spend with them. I just make myself useful. But I have to say, I've seen a steady decline in my dad since I've been going up there every 4 to 6 weeks. And he's aged, and he's 92. And he's starting to run into all the kinds of things that you run into when you're 92. So, you know, it's just a sweet time. So I think that'll do it for Friday Sews on Saturday. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for watching. And I will see you next time.